all of it is beautiful black music to me. And for us to be put in a box, this is one of the biggest things that has hurt us by saying, well, so and so is playing rock, and so is playing folk rock, and she's doing the gypsy dance, and like I feel that we all are playing what people know as jazz, or I call it black classical music. And all of it has something to do, and for us to stand by and let these businessmen program us and put us in little boxes.
How about that?
It keeps us from being together, it keeps us from not working in certain clubs, and it just keeps everything messed up.
It just needs to be said very clearly that 4 black men hanging from trees in 1 week is not a coincidence. It's not an accident, it is not an incident. The fact that all 4 cases have said no foul play and then just close the cases.
Please stand by for a voice check from KTBC TV.
It is a real honor to be able to touch base.
Я позволю себе это сделать. Real good engineer.
A movement driven by big corporations to take the soul away from people, to disconnect people from the higher world.
The vaccine!
They get 3. It starts at 6 months, and they get 3 of them, kind of boom, boom,
boom.
Are
doctors really recommending this?
That doctor's likely to lose $250,000 a year if they don't do that, because there's incentive given to hospitals and doctors.
Y'all, these 2 pieces right here are not that bad. This one, yeah, I mean, look at that. But this middle piece, or this side piece over here, y'all, that's something out of Avatar.
Nike is apparently funding a study that disfigures young boys to understand if they can be physically impaired enough to compete with girls without significant retained male advantage. And if you're confused what this means, it means Nike is funding a study to give children injectable hormones and puberty blockers.
You have a good set of here, and they don't want to be disturbed. They really are. I have one that I just love. She nursed my children for about 6 years, and I wouldn't have her want for a thing if I found out that she needed something. And I was right amused when my daughter from Arlington, Virginia came down. She was one of the children that Missy had nursed. And I got my son to drive us out to see Missy. And she had also nursed him. And his little boy was in the car with us. And when Missy came out, she said, "Look at my children." And she put her arm right around William's shoulder. And the little boy just looked up out of, he didn't know what to make of it. And I said, "Listen, Billy, she was a mother to him for a while. I tell you, she helped nurse him." And so that's the association we had with them, and I presume there's still some good ones around. Of course, there are some getting some ideas, and that's all right. That's progress.
This bitch told me to take my black ass home.
This man and his Doberman just attacked me and my Chihuahua.
It's not a Doberman. What are you doing?
He just bit me.
No, he
didn't.
didn't.
Help! Police! Someone call the police! Help!
One of my mutuals made a great point when it comes to people talking about the Holocaust versus slavery. When people bring up the Holocaust, they understand how bad it was. Like in every single minute detail, if you ask someone like how bad was the Holocaust, they'll be able to say in every detail what exactly happened to Jewish people. Justifiably so. But when it comes to slavery, I feel like you guys just don't do it a justice. They used to eat us, bro. They used to eat us. They used to use our skin as furniture. They used to use our hair as insulation for their clothes. They used to castrate us in streets for public display in front of their children. They used to essay black men as a form of intimidation to other black men. Look up what buck breaking is. I'm telling you right now, them books in high school that you used to read about slavery do not do it justice. These people were such sick animals to us. It's so crazy how people just gloss over like, oh yeah, slavery happened. What? I really need y'all to see the severity of how bad slavery was. The same way y'all do the Holocaust.
That's progress.
You know that they're giving COVID vaccines to 6-month-old children now.
Every player, unless they're from the same household, has to bring their own tennis balls so that you don't touch other people's tennis balls with your hands.
This is what they're teaching nurses. Let me read it really quick. If there's suspicion that the parent will not be bringing the child to the healthcare for follow-up vaccines, all of the recommended vaccines can be administered simultaneously. So if the nurse thinks that you might not be back for vaccines, they are taught, they're taught to give all the vaccines to your child at once.
That's progress.
Tell me about the adrenochrome trade.
This is a dried parasitic insect that you eat every day. Well, how is that possible? Well, watch closely. If I crush a small pile of these insects, scoop them up, and pour them into a vial of warm water, the water turns a deep red. This is used as a red dye under the names cochineal extract, natural red 4, E120, and carmine color. Carmine color is listed in the ingredients of this candy. So, this candy gets its color from crushed up parasitic insects. Guess which of these products have parasitic insects in them? They all do.
Why don't they talk about planting trees? Why isn't Bill Gates the largest, private landowner in the U.S. now planting trees like crazy if he's so worried about carbon dioxide? He poo-poos the whole idea of planting trees as a way to combat climate change. It's just carbon markets and going to electric vehicles and all of this stuff. But electric vehicles necessitates mass mining, and a lot of that mining is in places that use child labor, or it's going to be so environmentally destructive you totally destroy the developing world, which these people on the left supposedly want to protect. You're going to totally destroy the environment. But really, what it's about is controlling how much energy people can use, and if you control how much energy a household can use, you can control their economic activity. You also control how big their family can get. It's fear-driven to get people to accept policies they otherwise wouldn't accept because they're told this cataclysmic event is just down the line. And trust us, again, is the conclusion of that. There's people that agree with the narrative about climate change, and there's people that don't. And I'm not trying to really get in that space when I talk about this stuff. I'm trying to point out that the solutions are coming mostly from Wall Street. And then you have people like Larry Fink of BlackRock and Michael Bloomberg and Mark Carney coming together in something like GFAN saying, why don't we give Wall Street direct control of the IMF and the World Bank for climate change? You know,
Right.
How can anyone on the left that's worried about climate change sign up on that?
All right, let's walk this carefully because this is real, it's dark, and it's one of the core mechanisms keeping the inversion grid alive. What is adrenochrome, really? That's only part of the truth. The full picture is this. Open quote. Adrenochrome is a bioetheric compound created when the body is flooded with adrenaline during extreme trauma, especially in children. Close quote. In that state, where fear, pain, and despair peak simultaneously, the body releases not just a chemical, but a frequency charge. And that's what the elite are after. But the energy encoded into it, why do they harvest it? Because it extends life in their distorted, decaying vessels. It amplifies psychic capacity, allowing temporary access to fourth-dimensional control grids. It acts as a currency, a spiritual fuel traded not in dollars but in power. And in some cases, it is required to sustain hybrid or parasitic entities that cannot survive without stolen life force. The trade network, a shadow grid. The adrenochrome trade is organized, global, and ancient. It's not new, it's not random, and it is deeply embedded in every major control structure on Earth. How it moves. Children are trafficked under legitimate fronts, NGOs, orphanages, elite adoption rings. They're sent to harvesting sites, military bases, black sites, underground tunnels. Trauma is induced through ritual abuse, torture, fear conditioning. The substance is extracted, sometimes with tech, sometimes manually. It is processed and distributed like any other elite commodity. The buyers, high-level elite families, satanic ritual groups, certain interdimensional hosts or vessels, and yes, the Antarctic throne node of Yahweh's current vessel. This is the part no one wants to hear. Open quote. It's not just backroom deals in dark alleys. It's systematized, sanitized, hidden in plain sight. Close quote. There are hidden supply chains within legitimate organizations, encoded shipments disguised as medical cargo, offshore transactions routed through shell corporations and NGOs, and deep involvement from factions of intelligence agencies. And then there's the astral layer, where the fear energy of victims is siphoned during extraction, not just physically, but etherically. That's how the false light grid is powered. Hash why this matters to you.
These are basically chaotic symbols that cause dysfunction inside of the energy body. This is what you call a chaosphere. Do not walk over to. This siphons your energy and causes chaos inside your life.
And so the symbol for the Roman corporation back in the ancient Roman Empire was an eagle. And the eagle only has two wings, left wing and right wing. So that's why we have left wing and right wing politics, because the eagle only has two wings. The eagle always represented the sun. The sun was the giver of life. It was the one that brought warmth to the earth. It brought light to the earth. And so therefore all of the Nazi, communist, fascist, bloodletting murderers who saw themselves as world dictators always used the sun. They were the great enlightened ones who brought power to the world and energy to the world and all that stuff. So the eagle originally represented the sun, which is very interesting because most of the secret societies behind world government are based on the worship of the sun, like Christianity. All forms of Christianity that calls itself Christian are, in point of fact, a cult. But they're very successful. They got a lot of money and they're a very big cult. Well, I mean, so is, you could say the Mafia, La Cosa Nostra in Sicily is a cult. It's a private association. Criminal, but it's a private cult. And you have to join it.
Well, no less criminal than the Vatican, certainly.
Well, of course, the Vatican is the grandmother of all cults.
If you pause to read here, you'll see that the mother was gaslit, told that her daughter was born like this. No. That inward eye, as shown right here, is just one of the many signs of neurotoxicity in children. Another super common one is the crooked smile, which is so common that most parents actually miss this. My advice to new parents or parents to be is that you need to start opening up books. Do not rely on a Google search. It is a crock of you-know-what. Get your hands on books like these, where you will be equipped with root cause education.
We know how bad it is. We know that it ruins stem cells in pregnant women. They don't give stem cells to their babies. The industry's upset because the placentas no longer have stem cells. They used to use those stem cells in research and cosmetics, etc. They're not getting them anymore because of what the COVID shots did to the placentas and those infants. That's not being talked about in the media. Nothing bad about the shots being talked about when we have Kevin McKernan and all these people looking at it going, there's SV40 in it. There was a staphylococcal endotoxin gene. There were 2 snake genes in there. You know, it's a definite gain of function. Nope. We got to put it on the baby vaccine schedule, because any doubts whether or not well funded about the vaccination must not be allowed to exist. That's why.
Giving a COVID shot to a baby today is insane.
3 of them.
Do you know what that is? That's a large shipment of asbestos with a stamp of Trump on it. I made this Facebook post back in 2018 showing Trump bringing in massive amounts of asbestos from the largest supplier in the world. You guessed it, Russia.
That's progress.
It's the aurora borealis, covered up with clouds, but it is.
What the fuck? One thing Israelis have is the fucking audacity. You've infiltrated every aspect of American society. You've infiltrated our government. You've bought our politicians. You control our legislation. You funnel billions and billions of dollars, possibly trillions, from the American people on a yearly basis so that you can get free healthcare and go fucking brutalize, terrorize, and genocide people in Palestine. Then run away to your real homes in Europe and New York, New Jersey, wherever the fuck you're actually fucking from, and go live your lives. Go live your lives like you didn't just fucking murder children.
Where are you from?
From Israel.
Oh, you're from Israel.
I see on YouTube. I don't want to believe IDF of Israel. They do things like you said. It's messed me up.
I know. I don't want to believe it either, but it's the truth. Wasn't it an accident to bomb a school, a refugee camp, and a hospital? They're killing kids every single day. There are kids with bullet shots in their skulls. You see x-rays come out of Gaza with bullets literally in children's skulls. You know how disgusting that is? They are targeting them. But when you see a bullet in a kid's head, that is targeted. Was that an accident?
Unfortunately, they don't know what Zionism is, but Zionism is a political philosophy which has brought about the state of Israel, the so-called state of Israel. This political philosophy has nothing to do with religion. On the contrary, it seeks to confuse others and let them think that Zionism and Judaism is one and the same. I am a conscious African. I know properly my history. Consequently, I know that Judaism and Zionism are not the same. Zionism had its first organizational expressions in 1897 in Basel, Switzerland, in Europe. Here was a man by the name of Theodor Herzl, H-E-R-Z-L. He was the founder of Zionism. He said that he was going to find the state that God promised the Jews. Listen to this very carefully. This man, Herzl, was an atheist. He believed that there was no God. He said God did not exist. Now, how is it that a man who believes that God does not exist is going to find a state that God promised to his chosen people? I'm telling you, this man is Satan in disguise. Zionism is a satanic movement. It is devil. It is imperialism. It is racist. It has gone and taken the lands of the Palestinian people and through terrorism has driven them out. And through terrorism, it maintains its power. And the United States of America, with over 6 million homeless, sends to Israel billions and billions and billions of dollars everywhere to bomb Palestinian people while homeless people are here and unemployed are here. Zionism is going to raise this war and make the people in America become clear to what it is and become anti-Zionist and stop the aid to Israel and use the money to take care of the homeless in this country.
What the fuck?
Punk rock was started by black people. Don Letts is the one credited with bringing the underground Jamaican working class sound to London punk. Without reggae, there would be no punk, but let's not stop there. All the music you've ever heard is because of black people. Without Screamin' Jay Hawkins, we would have no goth music, especially the goth wave of the United States. Without Leadbelly, we wouldn't have grunge or Nirvana. Muddy Waters invented rock and roll. Bessie Smith and Ma Rainey invented the blues, which then turned into country. Not to mention who was on all the chain gangs being recorded used for said country music that never got paid for the royalties.
Go away! I don't know what you're saying. What are you doing? My car's not even on.
This is the 4-ingredient recipe that big corporations are using to poison our pineal gland and disconnect us from the higher world. Check this out.
Be a movement driven by big corporations to take the soul away from people, to disconnect people from the higher world. And in order to do that, we have to destroy the pineal gland in people. And I followed the research on that, and amazingly what we found, the pineal gland is the most sensitive part of our central nervous system and is highly, highly, highly sensitive to 4 things: aluminum, glyphosate, fluoride, and Wi-Fi. And we are the only country in the world that has pushed these 4 things in the last 60 years or so on everybody growing up here. There must have been an ultra intelligence group of scientists who have designed this protocol to fluoridate the drinking water, to put nanonized aluminum in the air, to put glyphosate in the food, and then activate it, spark it with the right frequencies.
Nothing says protect and serve quite like abandoning a car crash that you caused. 7 police officers in Florida were arrested after they did nothing and drove away after the car chase they initiated ended up taking the lives of 2 completely unrelated people. West Palm Beach officers are accused of having left without rendering aid to 2 people who were trapped in their vehicle. They also were accused of having not even reported the crash or trying to still find the original person they were pursuing. They just left. What a great use of your tax dollars. In that car was a 57-year-old mother with her 27-year-old daughter. The daughter had just announced to her family that she was pregnant. They were left trapped in their vehicle that was hit in the ongoing police chase for hours and died at the scene. Those officers didn't check on them, didn't write a police report, and didn't notify emergency services.
We have some huge, serious news right now. According to The Wire has obtained hundreds of 911 calls from ICE detention facilities across the country showing allegations of human rights abuses in detention facilities across America. Here's the story that you need to know. Since January, in just 10 facilities, The Wired has collectively reviewed 400 EMS calls, including nearly 50 involving potential cardiac arrests, 26 referencing seizures, 17 involving head injuries, 7 describing self-harm. These calls show migrants literally pleading for help. 60% of the facilities had serious pregnancy complications, self-harm attempts, or sexual assault allegations. But this is just what's been reported.
You can kick their balls, but you can't touch them. I'm gonna blush, sorry. Of course, if you're playing with someone in your household, you can touch those tennis balls. To avoid confusion between whose balls are whose, you can use a marker, like a Sharpie, to mark out, to put an X or put someone's initials on.
It's at a point now where I call overly murderous, violent, promiscuous, sexual, ignorant, drugged out music CIA music, because the amount that we get is not an accurate representation of the black population, and at one time it was. At one time, we had an equal mix of everything. We had an equal mix of party, an equal mix of get money music, an equal mix of fly music, an equal mix of sexy, political, conscious, soulful, like all different type of music, right? And we still have that amount of diversity of artists, but the amount of music that's making it up through the pipeline is only the ignorant categories, and that doesn't accurately represent our population. And who else would be behind that? Who else has infiltrated every black organization and culture since it's been established in the US? It only makes sense. That's why I call it CIA music. And I look at a lot of the artists that push that message as feds. They just work for the government.
Newsflash, bitch, I'm multi-ethnic, including Choctaw, Seminole, and Blackfoot. I'm indigenous, bitch. I am home. How about you swim your ass back to the Caucasus Mountains? But since you want to pop off this white supremacy fuck shit, let me go ahead and enlighten you. Did you know that under white supremacy, you were supposed to ask your man to speak to anyone in public? Bitch, did you ask your man if you could talk to me, ho? Absolutely not. What you did was you saw a brown face and decided that you were going to try to insert some form of superiority. Bitch, you were never superior. And under white supremacy, you were property, just like my motherfucking ancestors. Your man would beat your ass without fucking consequences and fuck all your children. That's what the fuck you fighting for by coming for the motherfuckers that allowed the women's lib movement to pass, which is what gave you your fucking freedom. Bitch, you are never gonna be able to get me together because I know the facts about my own culture and history as well as yours. I suggest you do some research, bitch.
That's progress.